Hey, Freedom Friends. So, of course, I'm Natisha Willis of the Freedom Friends Network and the Coach Your Damn Self Challenge. So, coachyourdamnself.com. And so, really quickly, I know that most of us are looking to create the best and most awesome lives possible. And so, I wanted to share just a couple of the things. One of the things that I'm doing in order to create my own best life is I have hired a therapist. And I've had some really good luck with therapists in the past. And so I wanted to share some of the tools that I'm using personally, some of the tips that I've used personally in order to choose really good therapists for me. So, number one, the first tip, and I'm going to run through them really quickly and then come back and give you some information. Number one is acknowledge your biases. We all have them. My personal bias is that I'm biased toward choosing a Black female therapist. I feel as if Black women can identify with where I'm coming from and most of the challenges that I'm dealing with, and I won't have to explain myself. And so, which I get tired of explaining myself. So in my therapy relationship, I don't want to explain where I'm coming from in my background. So I acknowledge that I have a bias toward choosing Black female therapists. Number two is using really good resources. Two of the resources that I've used in particular in order to find great therapists. Number one, psychologytoday.com. And number two, openpathcollective.org. I've had excellent experience hiring therapists from both of those sites. So I personally recommend both of those and definitely taking a look at those. Number three is Intuit and Interview. So using our intuition is like hugely important, especially as women. Sometimes we have a heightened sense of intuition. And so as we are going through the directories, both of these sites have directories. And a really quick bonus tip is looking for solution-based therapists. So therapists who are focused on a solution based, sometimes they have a little bit more experience, as well as they are leaning. They have a toe in the coaching waters. So I like to make sure that whoever I'm dealing with, whoever I'm working with, that they are also stretching themselves. And coaching is one of those things that it requires you to stretch outside of the typical therapy or counseling training that you've received. So therapists who are solution-based or solution-focused, and typically on either of those sites, you'll be able to see the therapists who have a coaching background as well as a solution-based training. You'll be able to see exactly who those are. And so that's what I've done. And so as I go through the directories, what I do is I really just identify, number one, the women who have great smiles, bright eyes, people who I look at and I'm like, oh, I want to know her. I would love to be friends with her. Not necessarily saying that we're going to be friends, but at least this is someone who I feel comfortable with, who I feel as if I can be open with, vulnerable with, because your therapy or your counseling relationship is one of the most intimate relationships that you may ever have, of course, next to a spouse. And so you want to make sure that this is a relationship where you don't feel as if you are fighting. You don't feel as if you have to be combative. You don't feel as if you are always on guard with the person you're talking to. And so that's why it's so important that you acknowledge that you have a bias, and you may have a bias against Black women, which is totally okay. Again, just acknowledging what your bias is and choosing someone who you want to work with. So those are my three tips. As I always say, if your freedom requires friends. And so if you're going to choose a counselor or a therapist, you definitely want to make sure that it's someone you're comfortable with, someone that you've interviewed and kind of made sure that you all have some things in common, that is someone that you do feel comfortable with, that you've had a conversation with them, right? So freedom requires friends. Again, if you're going to be finding a friend, especially a counselor or a therapist, and adding them to your dream team, right, your freedom team, then keep these three tips in mind and let me know how it works out for you. I will talk to you later. I hope you have a great and awesome day. And if you have not signed up for the Coach Your Damn Self Challenge, make sure you do so, because I'm going to be featuring some of my personal coaches and therapists and counselors that I have personally worked with throughout the challenge. So I will talk to you later. I hope you have an awesome and amazing day. Talk to you soon. Peace.